Hello, my name is Martin and welcome back to another video. So there's a cruel rumour going round that, like a rat, I'm never more than 50 metres away from one of Manchester's three rivers, Irwell and Medlock. And to be honest with you, I don't know where they get it from at all. That's the River Irwell, by the way. I'm in the village of Ringley, and it's a place we keep passing through on the way to Wet Earth Colliery. And as the weather is so beautiful at the minute, the village is looking absolutely beautiful, and it's got a feature that I want to show you. I'm going to go down here now and show you this wonderful bridge over the River Irwell. There you go, Ringley Bridge. Absolutely beautiful, isn't it? It's a scheduled ancient monument. It was built in 1677 at a cost of £500, and it was built to replace a wooden bridge that was washed away in a flood in 1673. During the interim period, crossing over the River Irwell was made by boat, but an absolutely fantastic thing to look at. The whole place is beautiful. I actually took a picture of the bridge, which is probably better than the video that I've took. But yeah, what a fantastic thing. And I thought to myself, how on earth did they build this in 1677? But that's my naivety, really, because when you think of it, they were building castles, weren't they, earlier on than that? So, you know, I thought to myself, castle technology, that's what it is. So at the end of the bridge is this stone plaque, and it says on it, Parish Prestwich, Dean Outwood, Kersley. And that's what's carved on there, and it's very difficult to read. I've had to look up what that is. Anyway, let's move on. The bridge is beautiful, but let's move on. Okay, so I'm on the disused railway line. This is the Manchester Bury and Rossendale railway line. We've been here before. Me and Connor did a video over a year ago now about the 13 arches, where we went to Clifton Station and everything. And it was on this railway line, but we're just further up. We're near Ringley, and it's now called the Outwood Trail. It's like a cycle path and a walkway, but we're here for a reason. Okay, so there's our railway line. It starts at the bottom of the screen at Eccles, and it runs northwards. And at the top of the screen, you'll see a black arrow and a yellow arrow. The yellow arrow just shows where the Wet Earth Colliery is and all the workings we've been looking at for a reference. And the black arrow is the area that we're looking at on this railway line. You'll also notice that the line goes from purple to green. And the reason for that is because part of the line, the purple part of the line, was owned by the London and North Western Railway, and the northern part in green was owned by the Lancashire and Yorkshire Railway. This map is courtesy of Rail Maps Online, but that's where we're looking at, just for your reference. Okay, so we're joining our railway line just at this bridge. Quite a lot of new brick on this bridge, but if you look over to the far left, that arch on the far left, a tramway went through there, and it came from Outwood Colliery through that far left-hand arch. And I'll show you now on a map, an old map, where the tramway went. Far right of the picture is our railway line. You'll see the tramway runs across the screen through Ringley Wood and then terminates at the Manchester Bury Canal, and it would have took coal from the Outwood Colliery to the Manchester Bury Canal, and we're going to look at Outwood Colliery shortly. And guess what? There's no evidence on the railway side of that tramway. There's no evidence of it at all. It seems to have disappeared. Whether there's anything over at the canal side, I'm not sure. I'd have to go and look, but nothing left of that tramway. Anyway, let's crack on. So, I'm just going to take a walk further along the line, and then I'll explain to you why we're here. Okay, so I'm just sat in the little waiting area waiting for the train that will never come. It's a gorgeous day. It's probably one of the hottest days we've had in the UK so far. it's also one of those difficult days to film where you constantly, because the sun's right directly above, you're constantly walking in and out of shade and light, so you're either well overexposed or you're in the shade and no one can see you. I think this is Ringley station that we're at. I'll double check on the side by side. I did look last night before I came, but my phone's not getting a great signal here at the minute. But we're definitely on a station. You've seen the platform. But I suppose this video is a bit of a spin-off of the places that we've seen while we're looking at the wet earth colliery stuff. This whole area is fascinating, and you've seen, I think I put on wet earth number 4 that Danny did. It's difficult talking when people are spinning past. Danny did a map and he pinpointed all the collieries in the area. One of the collieries that he pinpointed was Outwood Colliery. Of course, this is the Outwood Trail, so I thought I'd have a walk up here and see if I could see the old Outwood Colliery. It was served by this railway line. There was also a tramway as well, but just up here and to the right is the old Outwood Colliery, or where it was. Now, because we've been so spoiled at wet earth, I'm looking at all the outbuildings at Outwood Colliery and I'm thinking, there must be something there, there's got to be something there, I need to go down and take a look. So I'm going to go down and take a look where it is. Could be that there's absolutely nothing there whatsoever, but I have to check these places out. I just have to come down and check these places out. And if we find one brick, then it's good enough for me. So I think I know where it was. We're in an embankment here. I think when the embankment clears, we're near the old Outwood Colliery. And I'll tell you a little bit about the colliery, and we'll see what we can find, if anything. So we're going to take a walk up the track now. So the challenge is, because I've got nothing to reference and I'm not getting a good signal on my phone, kind of find where the colliery was. There was all sorts of sidings around here as well. This is all supposition, exploration, and a bit like when we did that one where we went looking for the old viaduct that wasn't there. Whether I'm going to find remains of this colliery, I don't know, but we'll see what happens anyway. This is what it's like sometimes, and this week I can't really do a big video. We've not been out and done anything spectacular this week, and sometimes it's like that. Sometimes people aren't around, we can't get the plans done that we wanted to do, so I have to just come out and do a little walk, a little video, just maybe looking at something that we might see or we might find. But it's a beautiful day, and I definitely wanted to get out today. You've got to be careful because I'm talking to you on the camera and people don't know what I'm doing, and then they come cycling up behind me and they go, what on earth is he doing? He's a bit mad. The embankment is starting to slope down, and I think where it slopes down might be where the colliery was. Right, well, we've got a wall behind us there that's obviously been a bridge. I'll show you in a bit more detail. This was the entrance to the sidings of the colliery. Wow, I didn't think there'd be anything here, but I'm quite pleased with that. So we have a wall. Fantastic, the remains of a bridge. Look at that. And I'll pinpoint for you on the map. Is the exposure coming up there? Look at that wall there. And I'll pinpoint for you on the old map what I think this was. Well, that's more than a bargain for, definitely. Might see if we can get up there, see what was up there. So up on top of the bridge, there was no evidence of anything up here. But I think what I've found is this here. If you look at the map, you'll see the red arrow. I think we've found that little bridge that just goes over the line, and then just further down you'll see the entrance to the sidings, or you'll see where the sidings run into the colliery. But it's definitely that bridge. So let's see what else we can find. But the entrance to the colliery sidings then was here. This little path here, but it shouldn't be going up, but it's going uphill. But we'll walk up here anyway and see what's up here. So I think those are part of the Irwell sculpture trail, which is sculptures set out all along the Irwell Valley, all along the river, and along this this walkway, cycleway, sort of bridleway thing. I thought initially there may have been some sort of plaque for the Outwood Colliery, but I don't think it's to be. As much as I'd like to find a plaque on there for the colliery, I don't think they are anything to do with that. I think there's just a modern thing, the Irwell sculpture trail. As I've come up and walked up the hill, I did walk past this wooded area here behind me. In there is some telltale stuff. I'm going to venture into the undergrowth, the bloody undergrowth again. June, eh? Who would come exploring in June? Not recommended.
Right, there you go. I think this has been theme of the month, has been undergrowth. It was absolutely ridiculous, the amount of undergrowth that was there. Proper struggle. But I had to go in and just see what was hidden around here.
Aha. So it was worth coming in. What did I say to you about finding at least one brick? Sorry about the dodgy camera angles. A brick and another brick, and we are looking at the remains of the Outwood Colliery, definitely. I know you look at this here. Oop, I can't even stand up. More. Definitely the remains of Outwood Colliery, this.
And here it is, Outwood Colliery. The shafts were initially sunk and mining started in the 1830s, but the place was abandoned in 1931. So again, I'm looking for something that's been abandoned for 90 years almost. So I'm up against it really here. Initially there was 5 shafts, but at the end there was only 3 shafts working. 2 downcast shafts, one 480 yards deep, one 240 yards deep, and an upcast shaft that was 480 yards deep. Now, in 1858, Thomas Fletcher purchased the colliery, apparently. Now, that name again, Fletcher, must have been something to do with our Matthew Fletcher down at Wet Earth. Must have been the same family, because the Fletchers in this area were very big in mining. But in 1858, he would have been younger, much younger than Matthew Fletcher. So, towards the end of its life in 1929, the colliery, Outwood Colliery, became part of Manchester Collieries, and it looks like they were winding the place down because it was put onto a care and maintenance basis. So it looks like they were just sort of like mothballed it and were just keeping it safe. During this period that this event finally sealed its fate, an underground fire developed which ate its way into one of the pillars that supported the headgear. And the entire shaft collapsed and the headgear fell down into the shaft. Apparently the winding rope sliced through the engine house like a cheese cutter, and this event put an end to any hopes of the colliery being put back into production, and so that was the end of Outwood Colliery. I think for a while they kept the washing plant on, and that was used for obviously washing coal, but operations finally ceased in 1956. So maybe it isn't that long ago. Maybe, 56 was probably when the place was finally abandoned. But I'm still looking for something that's been gone for many, many years, 70 years.
Right, I don't think we're going to find much more of Outwood Colliery, to be honest with you. I think what's happened is the entire area's been re-landscaped, and I think they've buried most of the colliery. Maybe what we saw over there was the tops of buildings, I don't know, because the land goes up and yet it was a sidings, so it should be on level with the trap bed, and it isn't. I've ventured into the undergrowth at great cost, prickles and all sorts of stinging nettles, but here we've got the telltale sign of underground workings. If you look behind me there, can you see the red stained ground? the iron stained ground, red, orange, brown, whatever you want to call it. Well, that is a telltale sign of underground workings there, and it looks very swampy and very marshy. Obviously I'm not going to go in there, but we've got a few bricks, we've got a few stones, and we've got some iron stained mud, and if you didn't know what it was, you would never know.
So I was hoping there might be a stone or a plaque to mark where the colliery was, because obviously people spent entire working lives here, no doubt there were accidents, and people possibly died here, and I've no doubt about that. But there is no plaque and there's no memorial. But what there is this ochre stained mud, the telltale signs of underground workings, and so it's down to this mud to mark the place of Outwood Colliery, because this land will never be built on, because it's probably toxic and there will be mine shafts and mine workings underneath. So it's down to the orange mud and this little orange stream to mark out the place where so much industry once took place.
Ooh, it's warm. Right, so Outwood Colliery, nothing really here. A bit of stained mud and some bricks, but at least I've been and I've satisfied myself. There's another feature down here that I want to go and take a look at, just to exercise another ghost from the side-by-side old maps. It's a power station, and it's almost on the banks of the River Irwell. But there was a power station, I don't know when it went. It looks, I mean, power stations, what were they, like 1920s, 1930s, some of the earlier ones. So God knows when this thing got pulled down, but I know there's no evidence on it on the modern day maps at the moment. But I want to just go down here and take a look and see if there's anything left of the power station. Surely a power station, there should be something remaining, because it's in such a godforsaken area by the River Irwell that no one goes to. Let's walk down here and we'll see what we can do.
Okay, so this transformer sort of station is related, I think, to the original power station, but it's in a different location, so I've not got it mixed up or anything. So again, I had to venture off the beaten track, in through the undergrowth on these little paths. I finally got down to the riverbank. That's the River Irwell. I had to dodge all the giant hogweed, but behind me is a massive undergrowth. So did I find the remains of this little power station that sat on the banks of the Irwell?
Safe to say there is nothing left of the power station either. Nothing whatsoever. How the hell I'm going to get out of here now, because I have completely lost the path. Completely lost the path. Nothing here, so sorry to keep going on these wild goose chases, but there's nothing left of the power station. I can't even find a brick. I'll tell you what, I don't know what they did to these places. They must have just bulldozed them and covered them over, because they certainly made a good job of making them wild again, completely wild again. I'm going to try and get out, get back to the path if I can.
So I found out a little bit about it. It was called Radcliffe Power Station, and it opened on the 9th of October 1905 by the Earl of Derby. That seems very early for a power station to me, but what do I know? It generated electricity using two 1,500 kilowatt turbo generating sets made by British Thomson Houston. It was the first power station in the UK to transmit power by bare electrical conductors, apparently, and it was fed. The coal was fed to it by that railway line we've just walked down, the East Lancashire railway line. The power station was operated by the Lancashire Electric Power Company, but after nationalisation in 1947, it was closed in 1959. So 60 years it's been gone. So no wonder I probably can't find it. But there you go, there's some bare facts about it, and that's what it was. A place that was probably dominated by industry, collieries and power stations, and then it's gone. The industry's gone and the place goes wild again. Okay, so we're back in Ringley on the bridge, and there's the clock tower. I told you we'd come back. So there's a close-up of it. So that clock tower is quite quirky. It is St Saviour's Church in Ringley. You'll see the newer church in the background, but that clock tower is all that remains of a church that stood there that was built in 1826, that was designed by Charles Barry. Now, Charles Barry later went on to design the Houses of Parliament. But nonetheless, the original, well, not the original church, because there was one before that in the 1600s. But the 1826 church was demolished and they left the clock tower up, which I think is quite amazing, to be honest with you. And like I say, you'll see the newer church in the background. It's a Grade 2 listed structure, and apparently there's a bit of a... there's quite a few of these isolated clock towers that stand on their own, detached from the original church around Britain. That's the only one that I know. It's absolutely fantastic, to be honest with you. Anyway, we're moving on because there's something else quite quirky in Ringley. Take a look at this. There's the original village stocks, can you believe? Now, as you probably guessed by now, I had a bit of a problem and I lost a little bit of footage, video that I did of the clock tower and the stocks. That's why you get the side view of these stocks. They're the original village stocks and they date back to the 1600s, can you believe? Which is fantastic. So, take a look at Ringley Village because it's quite a beautiful place. Go on a nice day because it looks better when the sun's shining. You'll see the original village stocks. You'll see the clock tower and you can take a look at that bridge. So plenty of history there. And that's it. That's the end of the video. Told you it was a short one this week, didn't I? So from Ringley, from Outwood Colliery and from our little power station, thank you very much for watching and I shall see you next time in the next video. Take care and bye for now.